The fall anime season is done, so it's time again to make a tier list of every show I watched, and I'm gonna rank each of them from my least favorite all the way to number 1. This past season had a lot of sequels, but like usual, I won't include any I either dropped before or haven't seen yet, so here's the list of all of them. No offense to any fan, but I've not had enough time to pick up older shows. Let me know if I'm missing out though. Even so, there's still a lot of shows to rank. Just as a reminder, each tier will be at the corner, and I'll read out each number and title this time. I aim for these lists to be more laid back, so hope you like it, regardless of any different opinions we might have. Anyway, let's get right to it. Number 39, Hagakure. I was gonna skip F tier entirely, but this one kinda deserves it. The idea is fine, being about musical shamans in ancient Japan, but it panders with the hot guys who end up being super annoying and dumb, and has huge exposition dumps that just fill out the plot I already didn't care about, and some very crappy gags, easily the worst from Fall. Number 38, Blue Miburo. The common denominator in this part of the list is lack of originality and heart. Blue Miburo is another samurai anime, but lacks character to even try to stand out. Yeah, tragic backstory, wanting to do what's right, we get it. It's just way too basic. No good drama, mediocre action, and very unfunny comedy bits. Not F tier, just easily skippable. Number 37, Touhai. The only reason this one isn't any lower is because it generally caught my attention at first, with the kid risking it all. But the show gets repetitive and predictable. It's overly edgy, and I genuinely don't care about Mahjong, and they don't care if I do or not. And it's nothing to look at either, so bad. Number 36, the healer who has vanished from his party is, in fact, the strongest. Oh wow, another fantasy show where a party member gets kicked for being weak, only to prove that he's useful doing other stuff, so on and so on. It's basically the same as usual, always explaining overused fantasy mechanics, hilariously shitty ex-party, and a very obvious twist. Some good animation at times and decent art, but man am I sick of this trope. Number 35, Lono Life in Another World. Oh wow, another isekai where the main protag, who is a loser, gets some crappy powers that'll end up being OP, while being transported with his entire class. This one is okay, but again, it's the same old shtick, and nothing in there to spice it up. No thanks. Number 34, Puniru is a kawaii slime. This one feels a little awkward. The whole slime thing just didn't sit right with me or something. I don't know, just a little childish. I've seen some decent reviews, but ultimately I felt it wasn't worth my time, regardless of the cute art style. Number 33, the stories of girls who couldn't be magicians. Speaking of cute, this one started with a great watermark style in the first episode, but changed halfway to a simpler version. But ignoring the decent visuals, there's no real substance. Like, they complicate the magic system to try to stand out, but don't develop it more. Lack of world building and the cast being very mediocre doesn't help. Visually good, but nothing much apart from that. Number 32, a terrified teacher at Ghoul School. Was gonna drop this right away since the teacher character is so damn annoying, with his overreactive scaredy cat vibe and whiny voice, but it started to pick up when they introduced the yokai. Some of the students are interesting and somewhat funny, but a bunch of the gags just don't land, like them hammering in that the teacher has a uniform fetish, and crappy jokes like that. There is something here, but like a lot of generic comedy anime, it falls flat. Number 31, Uzumaki. Oh man, this one. You've seen the memes, you've seen the absolutely abysmal animation paired with some of the worst spacing ever, but at least we got an actual good episode out of it. There was a glimpse of hope that sadly died. So much time after being announced only to get whatever this was. So why number 31? Because it was still a riot watching this garbage. How couldn't I laugh at the terrible visuals or the horrendous storytelling? I mean, if this tier list was about quality alone, and not my enjoyment level, of course this would be last place. Also, the first episode sort of saves it, but still, it's just for laughs. Number 30, Goodbye Dragon Life. I memed about this one in the recap video, but it really did feel like an excuse to show off a lot of creature girls, with a bunch of fanservice thrown in. Taking that away, it's a forgettable fantasy story with an overpowered guy taking it easy with a mediocre sidecast. But seriously, what is the show's fixation with milk, dude? The episode where they introduced the cowgirl's daughter is just weird, man. Number 29, Nina the Starry Bride. I'll be real and say that I barely remember this one, just that I wasn't a huge fan of the protagonist, and the elements of the show just felt average to me. Nothing bad, just didn't pique my interest enough. Number 28, I'll Become a Villainess Who Goes Down in History. Oh wow, another villainous isekai show. I mean, whenever they do these right, they can be entertaining, but man are these popping up a lot. It's higher than the other overdone shows, but this one still felt made by the book right away. Cute moments with the protag, but also got a bit tired of her repeating that she'll be the best villainess ever time and time again. Just overplayed. Number 27, Mushroom Pup. Didn't expect much from this one, because of the funny name, but honestly shocked how good and emotional the first episode was, portraying the loss of a pet and how impactful it can be. And the mushroom dog was kinda cute. The big problem though is that it's very slow, and the protag is very bland and boring. While I do appreciate the message, this needed a jumpstart. Number 26, The Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor. This one could have been so much more. We've already had a fantasy where the heroine goes back in time after dying, and while 7-Time Loop did great, this one just felt messy and had weird pacing. Like, did they really have to make the girl super overpowered? Did they have to pair her with a 19-year-old prince while she was freaking 10? Like, yeah, it's part of the plot, but that doesn't make it any less creepy. The constant change of vibe from comedy to serious drama doesn't help either. It'd be fine, but those big problems just tank it, especially compared to similar and better shows. Number 25, Let This Grieving Soul Retire. This one has a pretty good structure for a comedy show, but I think they screwed up how to develop it. Like, yeah, the weakest dude in the party is the leader, since he's good at faking being strong and stuff, and while he does have his moments, he's a little annoying to watch. The show loves hammering in that joke. They also love to have the fangirl constantly kiss ass, and man is she annoying. And of course, add the obligatory fanservice moments too. This felt like it had potential, and regardless of the decent visuals, I just had too much of an issue following up with the annoying cast and very repetitive gags. Surprised this is getting a season 2. Number 24, Acro Trip. This really was PG gushing over Mahou Shoujo. What I loved about this show was the main villain Chrome and the evil corp he works for. His constant change of mood, funny jokes, fourth wall breaking, and commitment to the bit really kept me at. I'd say most of the cast is good too, unfortunately except for the main girl Chizuko. Her fangirl moments were really funny and got a little tiring. Funny how everything except her was way more interesting, which really brings down the show here. Nix her from the picture and this would have been better. Number 23, Tying the Knot with an Amagami Sister. Considering I don't love the harem genre, this one didn't start off half bad. The girls are decently fun to watch, it's pleasant visually, and regardless of the typical harem situations, I still found it pretty funny. What made me stop watching was towards the middle, when the romance started being more present, and the dude started with the usual stuttering idiot character that these types of shows get, and I stopped caring. Nothing terrible, just not my type of rom-com. Number 22, 365 Days to the Wedding. Such a funny concept, having two co-workers fake a wedding just to not go to Alaska. The reason I liked the show was the main duo. Both introverts, both with their funny little quirks, and seeing them develop their feelings for each other and having trouble to express them later was funny and cute. What holds this show back for me is pretty much everything else. Wasn't a fan of the side cast, visuals are fine but nothing amazing, cute little rom-com that could have been better. Number 21, Magie Lumiere, Magical Girls Inc. Beating Acro Trip, here's the other Magical Girl show, far more fleshed out and brings an interesting idea of Mahou Shoujo as a business. The company where our main girl lands is quirky and fun, for the most part, and again, the profession part of it is well developed and interesting. The cast is fun, and the magic system is pretty inventive too. My nitpick would be that the filler episodes, or slice of life, isn't that great, and easy to just skip. Lack of character development would also be an issue, but we are getting a season 2, so we'll see. Overall, still decent. Number 20, Mekaude. It hurts to put this one this low. As I said on my recap, this one really felt like it had something. Fun, expressive characters, good action, decent visuals with personality, and a good enough premise. And it was going fine throughout the first half. But as the plot went along and more elements and storylines came in, it started getting messy and rushed. The ending didn't feel great, and while I understand what they wanted to do with the protag, his moment felt a little unearned and hollow. Add on everything else, and I was getting a little tired. But again, I really do appreciate the style and effort put into it. Just wish it had more time to develop their cast and get something more into it. Number 19, You Are Miss Servant. Was kinda sure I was gonna put this one lower, but thinking back, they really did a fantastic job portraying this cute assassin turned maid, and how gullible and new to a normal life she is. I mean, if I had to compare her to Yor or Violet, she wouldn't stand a chance, but her character still works well here. I guess what stops me from putting this any higher is how the show sort of aims to be a romance. Feels a little forced to me because I don't see this kid and her as an item. Another thing would be how out of place some of the fan service and adult jokes are. Goes from really cutesy to risque real quick. Nothing too crazy, but still weird. The rest of the characters, apart from Yuki, could be better also, especially the little sister. The dog is fine though, he's cute. Number 18, Trillion Game. Despite the characters looking so weird, this one's been fun to watch. The premise of these two trying to get a $1 trillion company out of nothing works well, considering they just pull the craziest stunts to get what they want. It doesn't take itself seriously at all, so it's mostly a riot. Low points would again be the ugly designs, especially when they do some cringy reaction faces, which aren't that many at least. And there's also an AI plot going on, so that's a thing. Still, I've mostly liked it. Number 17. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. My first time checking this, I thought the first episode was interesting, considering it's another weak guy trying to reach the top regardless of his power, which, being the ability to boost his teammates, but also getting to brainwash his enemies, is pretty badass. What first took me out of it was the edginess, which I get, Noel has to oversell his power, but it still didn't convince me, especially when Alma was introduced. Flash forward to the end of the season, and this rose up in score, so I checked it again, maybe with a bit more patience, and I liked it more than I thought. I understood what the protag was trying to do, apart from learning about the world more. Nitpicks still would be the majorly negative 5, and Alma still, a little bit. But glad to see this one rise back up after a bumpy reception. Number 16, Tower of God Season 2 Part 2. This was separate in Mal for whatever reason, but the animation got way better for this arc, so that's a win. I also think it was more interesting. Giving a chance for the OG characters to interact in the workshop battle was fun. Unfortunately, this is still pretty dang messy, with the battle just going everywhere all at once. It isn't hard to follow, but they just throw twists and big moments and they don't fully land. It's borderline okay still, and I'm glad to see the main cast again, but if they don't deliver after this, it'll just keep going down on my list. Number 15, MF Ghost Season 2. MF Ghost still is what it was in Season 1. Generally fun and thrilling when it comes to the racing, and very, very cringy when it comes to the slice of life and romance. It's incredible how my mood swings when watching this show, having a blast seeing this kid do crazy stuff while racing, and then begging the show to move on when it focuses on Ren or the damn flag girls. Seriously, the random cuts to dumb fanservice is so annoying. This would be so higher without it. But regardless, I still really enjoy the races and Kanata doing his stuff, whenever he's not talking. Number 14, Yakuza Fiancé. This one is so complicated. I had a positive first impression since it's a quote-unquote romance story sandwiched in between a potential Japanese gang war, and that Yoshino and Kirishima stand out for very different reasons. I think the show does a very good job portraying this guy's insane and somehow calculating persona, and his masochistic obsession with this girl, while she comes off as spunky and also crazy for going to these extremes. A lot of these moments are hard to believe on how perfect they're set up, even if Kirishima is this perfect gangster, which would be my main complaint, apart from how uncomfortable it can slightly get sometimes. But ignoring that, I can't say I wasn't super interested in what was going on. The interactions with the other characters and how they fit in this crazy scenario, and the main duo's situationship are nuts, but intriguing. Visuals also hold it back a little, but I think it goes here for now. Number 13, Blue Lock Season 2. Yes, I know, this was PNG lock and the animation was non-existent for a huge chunk of the arc. I get that. But it still kept me invested. This series is lucky the characters are likable and fun to watch, regardless of the low quality the season started with. While I also don't like how formulaic it's getting, with every single dude having to throw a stupid little quip on the plays, or Isagi having to spell out that they need a goal, or recapping what we just freaking saw happen. I still get a little hype when they do a cool goal or play, especially in the last episode, where they got an amazing animator all of a sudden, and did the Itoshi brothers one-on-one beautifully. Probably the best sequence of the show so far. Stuff like that, when done right, is when this show can shine. Here's hoping the studio doesn't cheap out again in the next season, and it can somehow match that last great episode. Number 12, Demon Lord 2099. Absolutely nailed the fantasy character revived in modern times concept with Beltol. Very fun gags, decently interesting characters, good magic system and limits, and a goal. Pretty good, but I think it lost a bit of steam after it changed to a school setting all of a sudden in the later episodes, since it needed a bunch of exposition dumps and introduced new characters. Still good though, just lands here. Number 11, Negative Positive Angler. This one surprised me right away. Like, how the hell do you open a show with such a bleak opening and halfway turn it into a chill vibes fishing show? Cool cast of characters who love fishing and help the protag come out of his shell. Great background music and visuals that really gets you in the mood, and just a very emotional journey by the end. The main little hiccups would be some of the less important episodes go a little slow, and while I know it's needed for the drama, there are moments I wish the protag would just speak up about his problem, but again, totally needed. And my big thing that leaves this just before the top 10 would be its big fascination with fishing, which I won't hate on, but I personally don't care for. I don't need the technical specifications on the equipment and all that. But once again, the vibes, the cool and fun characters, the main guy's growth, and the sweet emotional moments really brings it up. Nice chill show. Number 10. Dragon Ball Daima. This has been a fun combination of OG Dragon Ball's quirky vibe with a hint of sea in there, and man does it look great. Very fluid animation, nice visuals in the background, and some great fights. I really dig the new characters, very funny and full of personality, as I'd expect from Toriyama. The big thing holding this back still is the times we lack progression. Lots of segments I think they could have skipped, like when they go get Vegeta and the gang, just to let them know they're gonna leave them behind, have the episode later. Like, why? Just to show Vegeta mad? That's his natural state. I'm sure it'll pick back up in the second half, and it kinda already is, but I've really liked Daima so far. Glad it went back to the series' roots. Number 9. Sumasho. Love this one. While the visuals aren't anything to geek about, the story and emotional beats carry the show, and really had me invested all the way through. And yeah, the title and having the former wife be in a kid's body is sus as hell, but there's fortunately nothing in the anime to worry about in that front, just maybe for some dramatic moments. Really explores this weird scenario and how it affects every single character and relationship. It's great how thorough it is. If I had to nick some points, apart from the visuals, I guess the daughter can be a little overly whiny at some parts, but given the circumstance, I can forgive some of it. Really good story that is done well. Number 8. How I Attended an All-Guys Mixer. Didn't really think this one would be this high, but I really like these characters and their dynamic with each other. 3 really cool and entertaining tomboys, and 2 decently fun guys that work well with the girls' personalities. I.e., the dude with the internal conflict is kinda annoying at times, won't lie. Plus, the random fangirls bit was meh. But still, as a comedy, it works great with its cast. Has some great romance moments that turn up the heat without going too crazy, and I don't know, it was just a fun time seeing these kids just fool around and maybe turn into something. I don't know if it is getting a second season, but I'd watch it in a heartbeat. Number 7. Ranma 1/2. Mappa really nailed the feel and vibe of not just Ranma, but the whole era. Great colors, great animation, great little gags, and bonus details that really add to the charm. All while portraying this story of Ranma, while simple and a bit outdated, in a way that can really hang with modern shows. And as someone who didn't get to fully watch the original, which is pretty surprising being a Mexican, I really had fun watching this in this new format. If there was any comparison here, I'd say I prefer this remake over Urusei Yatsura, which probably is more because of the characters, but still. Overall, great job by Mappa here. Number 6. Ronka Monohashi Season 2. Not a whole lot to say. I love the mystery and characters from the first season, and Season 2 has basically continued doing that, while upping the stakes and continuing Ron's fight against his past. Fun cast, great mysteries to solve, just a really great time. Number 5. Shangri-La Frontier Season 2. Pretty much the same goes for Shangri-La. The show already was a really fun video game series without the need of SAOing it, and Season 2 just continues to explore this pretty creative world, these goofy gamers, and great NPCs, and give us more cool-ass fights. Glad to see this one do so well. Number 4. Orb. So, full disclosure, I love these remaining 4. Any difference in placement is by small personal preferences or even coin flips. Really had a tough time deciding, and I might change stuff later, but here we are. First off, Orb. Such an amazing concept. Adapting and exploring the research and struggle to overcome the church's dated views and get to the truth of the solar system. The suspense, the wonder, the characters questioning their faith, their beliefs, the science and results. You really feel the risks taken. The vibe is so Vinland Saga without the Vikings and stuff. It also helps that visually it's really damn good, with good designs and great backgrounds, especially of the night sky. Smallest of nitpicks would be that it can be a little dialogue heavy in certain points, but it's been great overall. Cannot wait to see the rest of the season pan out. Number 3. Blue Box. I love this show so much. A good rom-com with an interesting sports hook to it, complete with beautiful and fluid visuals, great background music, and opening and ending while I'm at it, and such a good cast. I pretty much covered why I enjoy the show in the recap video, but mainly it's because of the characters being so likable, charming, and just plain fun to watch. Taiki and Chinatsu's interactions have me gushing, while still giving Hina some great development and moments, making me care about her just as much as the main pair. Not one bad character in the extras either. The motivation for all of them to give it their all in their sports, while putting this dramatic romance problem, just makes for a great time. I think just the creativity of the next two shows made me put this at number 3, but don't get me wrong, this is a really well done rom-com that I'm loving even more with each new episode. Number 2. Re:Zero Season 3. Can't believe it's been 3 years since Season 2 ended, and wow did Season 3 start off with a bang. While I do think the Season 2 arc was kinda slow, this part just immediately brings all the cast together in this perfect central city and just all hell breaks loose, making for some very chaotic, dark fights and moments. No spoilers, but I can't get over what happened in that masterful first episode, just making you forget how screwed up this world can be and then... sheesh. Characters you really get invested in, crazy ass villains and situations, and Subaru just braving forward somehow. The arc is still ongoing, and I'm sure we haven't reached the peak, but man has the season reminded me why I loved Re:Zero in the first place. And my number 1 is... Dandadan. I'm sure I'll go more in depth about this show in my top 10 video, subscribe to get notified, but pretty much the sudden boom this show got is so justified. As I've said before, Science Edu was made for the series, not afraid to go crazy with animating this insane premise, combining aliens and ghosts, action, comedy, and romance perfectly, with an iconic opening to boot, and with such a wacky blend of characters that don't seem to mix in paper, but just do so effortlessly. Ken and Momo's growing relationship, while having to survive the onslaught of screwed up creatures and yokai, is just a perfect combo. Yeah, they do lean on some out there stuff, but you just have to accept the crazy mood, man. And if that wasn't already enough, when episode 7 came out and it gave us one of the most emotional and beautiful made moments of the year, it secured number 1 in my eyes, just adding the touch of feels as icing on the cake. I don't know how to gush about this more, it was phenomenal. And man does it hurt having to wait till summer for more. It's a wacky great time, and my favorite anime from fall. And that was my ranking of every fall anime I watched. Thank you very much for watching. As always, sorry for being late, but thankfully was able to enjoy the holidays, and I hope you were able to do so too. This was a crazy season to get through, so I hope this helped in showing you an anime or two you might enjoy. And if you liked the video, please like, subscribe, and all that junk that can help the channel grow. Always appreciated. Gotta go right ahead and somehow get the best of 2024 video out there, so please stay tuned. And for now, it's been Jules, I hope you have a great new year, and I'll see you next time.